Hi, my name is Deeksha Mehta and I am one of the expert trainers here at LeapScholar. Oh, wait, I should have said expert IELTS trainer. Sound familiar? This is why you must plan your essay before you commence writing so that you don't lose any main ideas, lose your train of thought, or worse, stray away from the topic. In this session, we will look at writing task 2 and how to plan your essay. So I've taken the IELTS exam and I feel that it is imperative to sketch out your ideas before you start writing so that you spend minimum amount of time later on correcting the grammar or regretting that you've missed something. So let's begin. So in task 2, you'd be given a statement and you're supposed to write an essay for minimum 250 words. However, I would recommend you to aim for 270 for a better band score. You are supposed to spend 40 minutes on this task, and do remember that this task carries twice as much weightage as task 1. So it is imperative that you do this task very carefully. So let's see how the method that you can use to plan your task. So we would be following the power writing process. So what exactly is the power writing process? You're supposed to plan your essay. This should take around 10 minutes. Then you're supposed to organize your ideas, organize which idea goes in um, which paragraph. Then we write for 25 minutes and we keep 3 minutes for editing, for any editing anything that we have missed out on, and for revising and rechecking our grammatical errors. So if you look at the process, the actual writing takes just to 25 minutes, whereas we spend 12 minutes, which is a huge amount of time on planning and organizing. So let's look at what comes under planning and organizing. So your paragraph 1 is your introduction paragraph. In the description box is a link for a video where you can learn how to write the introduction paragraph. Then coming to your paragraph 2, 3, which would be your body paragraphs. So usually you take around 2 or maximum 3 body paragraphs, and your last paragraph is your conclusion. So the first thing that you do is you analyze the question, underline the keywords, and understand what exactly is it the question wants you to do. So is it an agree or disagree kind of a question, or is the question asking you to what extent do you agree? So this is the first thing that you focus on. Second thing that you do is you organize. So you select the main ideas which would form your paragraphs, the body paragraphs, which would come between your introduction and your conclusion. And you decide which of these main ideas or arguments are you going to use in each paragraph. So you might come up with 5 ideas or 5 counter arguments. So you select 2 or 3 best ideas that you have supporting ideas for. So these ideas, you decide which idea goes in which paragraph. Then consider whether you can add any examples from your own experience. This is absolutely essential to make your argument or your main idea effective. So an effective argument is one which is backed by an example. So why is an example or evidence needed? So let's look at it. It improves your argument. How does it improve it? By making it more interesting. So you are giving some personal information or a fact which makes it more interesting for the examiner. It makes your argument sound more valid. You sound more persuasive and convincing, and it provides a structure to your argument. So it expands your body paragraph. So let's move forward and look at a sample task. Let's read the task carefully. In most countries, multinational companies and their products are becoming more and more important. This trend is seriously damaging our quality of life. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Write at least 250 words. So, this is how your sample task would look like. So, what is the first thing that you need to do when you look at this task? You need to underline the keywords. So, what is the opinion that they are stating? That MNCs and their products are becoming more and more important, and this is damaging our life. So you have to tell them whether you agree with this point of view or not. So let's look at the first thing that we do. So let's answer a few questions. So let's look at these 5 questions and decide which of these should your answer include as your main ideas. So what I want you to do is pause the video and answer these questions in yes or no, whether you should include this question or not. All right, so I hope you've done that. And let's read these questions now and I will answer them for you. So, why multinational companies are becoming more and more important? So, if you look at the question, in most countries, multinational companies and their products are becoming more and more important. So, this is already given in the question. So, you can briefly touch this in your introduction paragraph. The second, examples of how Western consumer culture is invading the rest of the world. Absolutely not required. Third, how multinational companies and their products are affecting our quality of life. Again, let's jump back to the question. This trend is seriously damaging our quality of life. So, this is a rephrase of this question. So, this is the most important idea that you must add in your paragraph. This forms your body paragraph. Whether you agree or disagree with this statement, absolutely, this needs to be um, to be put in the conclusion. You need to use this in your conclusion by the end of the essay. It should be clear to the examiner whether you agree or disagree. Your position should be clear. And suggestions of measures we as individuals can take to reduce the power of MNCs. So, yes, you can definitely include this in your last paragraph or in your body paragraph number 2. So let's look forward and look at the body paragraphs that we have made out of these. The first one is your introduction. How do we write the introduction? The introduction is your first point that multinationals are finding it easy to operate in our countries and it is harmful. So you agree with it. Then, less choice. Your second paragraph is about less choice of products. Why do we have a less choice of products? Because local companies go out of business because these MNC, multinational companies are providing them a lot of competition. As a result of which, local companies go out of business, and we as consumers get less choices of products. Let's look at body paragraph number 3. Loss of cultural diversity. So, because multinational companies and their products are invading our grocery stores and our supermarkets, the products are becoming standardized. So you see the same products everywhere. You can back this up by giving an example. So for example, everybody drinks cola, or whether you go to any country in the world, you would find the same type of products in each country. Body paragraph number 5. Nationals provide employment. So although they provide employment, however, this makes us vulnerable or dependent on their decisions. So again, back your main idea by a supporting point. So when MNCs decide to move their facilities to a cheaper country, the workers in the previous country lose their jobs. So this makes us very vulnerable to their decisions. So if you see, we have given 3 main points, 3 main adverse effects. And our last paragraph would be a conclusion where we can give suggestions. So you remember in the last slide, we spoke about suggestions that we can give them. So in suggestions, we can mention we can pressurize our governments to make multinationals more accountable so that our local local shops do not go out of work. All right, so let's look at one more example. Sorry, let's look at the sample essay. So on the screen, you can see a sample essay of this task. Let's look at where they have included these points. So let's look at the first point, the introduction, where we said multinationals find it easy to operate and this is harmful. So they have made this as the introduction paragraph. Multinational companies nowadays find it easy both to market their products all over the world and set up factories wherever they find it convenient. In my opinion, this has a harmful effect on our quality of life in 3 main areas. All right, so let's look at the second one, less choice of products. So, yes, they have expanded this year. The first area is their products. Supporters of globalization would argue that multinational companies make high quality goods available to more people. While this may be true to some extent, it also means that we have less choice of products. And as I said, we back this up with an example. So when powerful multinational companies invade local markets with their goods, they often force local companies with fewer resources to go out of business. In consequence, we are obliged to buy multinational products whether we like them or not. So yes, we again have a less choice of products. Let's look at the third point, loss of cultural diversity. This brings me to my second point. It is sometimes said that multinational companies and globalization are making societies more open. This may be true, however, I would argue that as a result, the human race is losing its cultural diversity. If we consumed different products, societies all over the world would be more varied. This can be seen by the fact that we all shop in similar multinational supermarkets, even in different countries, and buy identical products wherever we live. So, you can give an example of Coca Cola. Let's look at the next point. Multinationals provide employment but make us vulnerable to their decisions. Thirdly, defenders of multinational companies often point out that they provide employment. Connector. Although this is undoubtedly true, it also means that we have become more dependent on them, which in turn makes us more vulnerable to their decisions. Supporting example. When, for example, a multinational decides to move its production facilities to another country, this has an adverse effect on its workers who lose their jobs. And in the conclusion, we are making suggestions. So, all in all, I believe that if we as voters pressured our governments to make multinational companies more responsible and to protect local producers from outside competition, we could have the benefits of globalization without its disadvantages. So, here we have analyzed a sample essay as well. Let's look at one more task. So, some people believe that there should be fixed punishments for each type of crime. Others, however, argue that the circumstances of an individual crime and the motivation for committing it should always be taken into account when deciding on the punishment. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. Write at least 250 words. So, again, this is a question which asks you to discuss both the views and then give your opinion. So, the first thing that we need to do is look at the question more carefully. So the question is presenting us two views. Let's look at the first view. The first view states there should be fixed punishment for each type of crime. The second view states that the circumstances of an individual crime and the motivation should be taken into account. So these are the two views. And the third main point should be your own opinion. So let's look at the question. Let's analyze the main idea. So the first main idea will definitely be your introduction, which will be your paragraph 1. Then I have written down there should be fixed punishment for crimes. So you can do this on the rough paper that you are getting. So even in a CBT, in the computer-based test, you would be given a rough sheet of paper. So you can quickly sketch this out on that. And the second point from the question, the circumstances of an individual. So I have written down punishment should depend on individual circumstances and motivation for a crime. The third main point will obviously be my personal opinion, whether I agree with this or not. So let's look at how to support these main ideas. So again, these were the main ideas and this is how I have supported them. So there should be fixed punishments for crimes. So how exactly can I support them? So this would make it simpler. There would be no need for trial in court because there are fixed punishments for crimes. It would make it cheaper and make our justice system more efficient because there's no need for trials for separate crimes. So each crime has one separate punishment. So you can just make it a more efficient justice system. The second advantage that this would have is it would deter others. So when they know the penalty in advance, the offenders would be discouraged from committing that crime. Let's look at the main idea number 2 from that we took from the question. Punishment should depend on individual circumstances and motivation for a crime. So the advantage of this would be that it would be a fairer system. So for example, for a murder, accidental killing, or death due to negligence, all these are three different categories and these are very different. So the same punishment for each of them would be unfair. And the third point would be my personal opinion. So do I agree or disagree? So I have decided to agree. However, there's a catch. So I feel that petty crimes should have the same punishments. For example, drawing graffiti or speeding. So you could have a fixed punishment for these crimes so that this serves as a deterrent and it saves a lot of time, making our justice system efficient. However, for serious crimes such as murder or death, these crimes should be dealt with individually. So I have stated my opinion as well. So this is how you can plan your essay before writing it, and later on, all you need to do is just expand on these three main points and put them into your own language, and use good vocabulary. So now that I have written these with basic vocabulary, you can while writing you can focus on putting better vocabulary and forming complex sentences. So forming complex and compound sentences, joining your sentences with linking words, for example, um, moreover, however, conjunctions, etc. So for another class on complex sentences, we do have a video on complex sentences as well, so you can click on the description box below and look at that class as well. So thank you for joining, and I hope that you have learned how to plan your ideas before you write them, and it helps you score a band 8 in your IELTS session. So if you found this video useful, do like and subscribe to our IELTS prep page by LeapScholar, and I will see you in another video.